Alright, students, welcome to Lab 7 TAC 8, Lab Word Frequencies List. This has to do with a lot that you saw last week. Here, you're specifically going through a list. You're counting how many times the word appears, just like you did last week, attaching a number to it. The only difference is you're doing it through an import of a file. I've written you, I've explained that a lot of the times it's where Python really comes in handy is data manipulation. And this specifically is an example of how you could easily manipulate data and find a lot of use with Python. Alright, so let's start up with, we're going to import CSV files. So we have our import function built right in. They added that, good to go. So you got to establish a blank index to that final word list is going to go into. So now we have our blank index just like last week. This week we're going to be working with a with loop. I call it loop, right? It's not a with loop. But with anyways is the best resource for opening and reading through files. But you can go through a file, but you have to put the commands in. Hey, I want to open. Hey, I want to close. With contains it all. And that's why when using with, it's one line versus multiple lines, right? So we're going to open the file. Our file at this point is nothing but strings. And you don't want anything to screw up. So let's go with strings. And then we're going to set up file name. Nope. I do also want to establish, this is one that needs to be established before. So file name is going to equal whatever the user inputs, right? So we need the user's input to go there, right? File name is going to be the input of the user. Alright, so we're going to go through a file, we're going to read through, and essentially working with a CSV file. Alright, so now we have it opening, running through with, opening the file, and starting to go through the file, and whatever the user designates as the input. There's going to be other portions of this where we're going to have inputs that we don't have a preset variable because they become the variable. But in this one, you need the user to input it. Alright. Here's where that next part where I talked about where we're pulling one. So we're going to call it the user file is going to equal the CSV read of it. Nope. Alright, CSV, and then you want to set a delimiter. So delimiter is where there's a break in sequence. A lot of CSV files will have, it'll either be a space or it will be, in this case, comma. So how are you going to create that break of what you're reading out of it? So you're reading through and you're breaking based off of comma within your file sheet. Now you still got to row and index this whole thing and create that, but this is being stored in the user file. Alright, last week I talked about for loops, when you'd use them, why you'd use them. I'm not going to go into that this week, and you're setting up the same for row loop to read and index just like you did last week. So our user file, what we just created above, we're going to iterate through it. So this is storing that red file, broken up with a delimiter. So we opened it, we use with to open it, and it'll open and close. We're reading through it fully, and then using a delimiter, we took all the comma and breaks, and we're storing that in the user file variable. Alright, so now we have to set up that range and len like we did last week. Alright, now we have to set up our conditional argument that we want to go on. So, if row Alright, for index right there. If row in oh I screw that up. If row index not in word list. Alright, let's set up our format. So we're formatting, and just like last time, the row index setup. And then, just like last time, you want to count 3 rows through your index. One, two, three. And then, so now that's giving you your nice pretty printout. Bum bum bum, row indexed, counted, just like we wanted. So we had to create what the user puts in and storage. We had to create going through the file, setting up a delimiter to break that file apart. And then we had to take that and we had to create our for row, indexing out that file. So for is going through the iteration of the file, boom, 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 creating rows and index of the words, and then we attach count. And now that we've created it all, we just got to copy that into our variable. So we worked with append a lot this week. Alright, so 1, 1, alright. Should be copying into our Word file index that we created up here. Where did I break it? I broke it at line 5 with open file name as CSV. Built-in function input. No such file or directory. What did I not? No file or directory. What did I not file? File name, they match. That should be the. One, two, two. It's closed, so it should be reading. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yep. With and as CSV file. CSV file, delimiter.
Perhaps we should have this checked out. I have a question for you. Excuse me, sir. You'll have to wait your turn. Just tell me first. You really believe anyone can be great? With enough hard work? Yes. Was that where I went wrong? I simply didn't.
So this is where the book is a pain. I think it should be working. I don't know why it's telling me it's not working. No such file or directory.